I am 87 years old, and 3 years ago, I made what felt like the most difficult decision of my life. I changed my will. I took everything from my children and decided to leave it to girls I had never even met. It sounds cold, doesn't it? Perhaps it does on the surface, but let me tell you something important, something no one really prepares you for when you become a mother. You can give so much, sacrifice every piece of yourself, so completely that, over time, you can become invisible. And one quiet day, you might wake up and realize your children only call when they need something from you. Or worse yet, the phone doesn't ring at all. If you've ever sat in a quiet room, waiting for a call that never comes, feeling like a memory instead of a person, then this story is for you. Stay with me, because this isn't about blame, it's about what happens when love changes its shape and leaves a space you didn't expect. If this quiet truth resonates in your own heart, please consider subscribing and leave a comment. Because even at 87, I still need to know someone is listening. There are certain smells that etch themselves into your memory, aren't there? For me, it's the soft, earthy scent of the comal heating on the stove at 5 in the morning. That faint, almost burnt aroma of corn tortillas, mingling with the rich steam of coffee, bubbling gently. I was 42 years old then, and my hands moved with a rhythm all their own, flattening the masa, turning it, flattening it again. 3 different lunchboxes lined up. Because each child, of course, had their own distinct preferences. My oldest son wouldn't touch beans. My middle daughter despised ham. And the youngest, only quesadillas, nothing else. The house was still cloaked in shadows, lit only by the soft yellow glow above the stove. Vicente Fernandez played quietly on the radio. My husband snores a familiar comfort from the bedroom. And there I stood, making those tortillas, because my son had proudly told the teacher his mom made the very best. This is love, I think to myself. Tired hands, endless early mornings. No one sees this quiet work, but they will feel it in their bellies, in their strength. It has to be enough. That's what I was taught, what I believed. A good mother gives everything. A good mother never keeps score. A good mother dies with empty hands and a heart overflowing. I truly believed that. Years later, when my daughter was 28, the phone rang and she was crying from Mexico City. She was a bright lawyer, building a successful career, but she was struggling with childcare for an important case. Without a second thought, I got on a bus, a 6-hour journey, and found myself on her living room couch for 2 months, caring for my grandson. I never uttered a complaint. Her apartment, filled with the scent of expensive perfume, in the lingering aroma of takeout, was a stark contrast to my quiet home. That couch, it had a particular spring that would dig right into my hip. At night, I'd listen to the city's symphony, the traffic, the distant wail of sirens, the muffled voices of strangers. I missed the familiar, comforting silence of my own neighborhood. I'd quietly fold her laundry while she rehearsed her legal arguments in front of the mirror. She needs me, I'd tell myself. This is purpose. When they need you, you exist. I imagined, hoped even, that when I returned home, she'd remember this time, that she'd call more often, visit more. This felt like an investment in our connection, a deposit in the bank of family love. This is where loneliness becomes more than just being alone. It's about feeling useful, needed, valued. It's about the quiet expectation that your tireless giving will somehow be returned. Not in kind, but in connection. A decade before that, I remember a Christmas that felt like perfection itself. My dining table was overflowing. 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and my husband still by my side. I had cooked for 2 full days. Mole, tamales, rompope, buñuelos. The air was thick with laughter, warmth, and the scent of cinnamon and chocolate. My daughter had even uploaded a photo to Facebook, a beaming caption about being blessed with the best mom in the world, complete with hearts and praying hands emojis. The table held a motley collection of mismatched plates, treasures gathered over decades. My husband's hand found mine under the table, a reassuring squeeze. Someone spilled asterisk horchata asterisk, and I just laughed, wiping it with the corner of my apron. The children were a whirlwind of noise, chaos, life. This, I thought, looking around at the beautiful mess. This is the picture they promised me. This is the reward for all of it. Look what I built. Look how they need me to make this magic happen. I am the center. I am essential. But oh, how deceiving photographs can be. They capture a moment, but not the long, quiet aftermath. Then my husband died. I was 68. It happened so quickly, a sudden heart attack right there in the garden. The funeral was large, as you'd expect. My children all came, of course. They stayed for 3 days, then they left, and the house settled into a silence so profound, so utterly different from any quiet I had known before. I would sit in his chair, a comfort I sought, because it still held the faint scent of him. Old Spice and a ghost of tobacco, even though he'd stopped smoking years before. The house itself started making noises I had never noticed. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick-tock of the old clock, the neighbor's dog barking. Little things, but they filled the space that was once filled with him. Out of habit, I'd make coffee for 2, then pour half down the drain. They'll come back, I told myself, clutching that half-empty cup. They're just busy. It's only been a week, 2 weeks, a month. They will come back. That is the quiet hope you cling to, isn't it? Then came my 72nd birthday. I spent the entire day waiting for a call. The phone, my old rotary with its comforting weight, sat on the kitchen counter, silently mocking me. At 9 o'clock that night, my son finally sent a message. Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry, crazy day. Love you. My daughter posted a quick message on my Facebook wall. My youngest son, nothing, not a word. I sat at my kitchen table. A small cake I'd bought for myself resting in its box. Vanilla with strawberries from the corner bakery. It had a single candle, unlit. I didn't cut it. The plastic fork felt flimsy and cheap in my hand. Through the thin walls, I could hear my neighbors, their television, their easy laughter. My own phone lay face up on the table, its screen dark, a silent void. I raised them wrong, I whispered to myself. The words tasting bitter. I made them too comfortable. Or maybe I'm simply not worth the effort anymore. Perhaps I only had value when I was useful to them. This is the part that hurts quietly. The realization that your self-worth has become tied to your utility. 6 months later, my youngest son finally called. His voice was strained, nervous. His business was failing. He needed $5,000. I had the money from selling my husband's car, tucked away. Before he could even finish his plea, I said yes. He came to pick up the check. He stayed for maybe 20 minutes, a whirlwind visit. He hugged me, a quick, almost perfunctory squeeze, and said, "You're the best, Mom." Then he was gone. I watched from the window as he walked to his car, his phone already glued to his ear. He never once looked back. The check lay open on the table, my shaky handwriting filling in the amount. The pen was one of my husband's. The ink smudged a little. He'll pay me back, I thought. No, not the money. The money doesn't matter. He'll pay me back. With time, with visits, with proof that I still matter, right? But he didn't come back. The silence returned, heavier this time, a quiet weight in the air. And then I got sick. Pneumonia. I couldn't breathe properly. I tried calling my daughter. Voicemail. My son. Voicemail. The youngest? No answer at all. In desperation, I called my neighbor, Doña Lupita. It was she who took me to the hospital in a taxi. I was there for 4 days. My children only found out on the 3rd day, because the hospital needed emergency contacts. The hospital ward smelled of disinfectant and boiled vegetables. The 4-needle was a dull ache in my hand. The television mounted high on the wall played endless soap operas I couldn't follow. Doña Lupita, with her rough, warm hands, sat by my bed, holding mine. My children finally arrived on the 4th day. They brought store-bought flowers, still wrapped in plastic. It wasn't because I was dying. I realized with a sudden, painful clarity, they came because it would have looked bad if I had died without them being there. In that moment, I saw it all. The veil dropped. That same year, I sold my house, the big one, full of a lifetime of memories. I moved into a small, quiet apartment, wanting to be less of a burden, or so I told myself. I divided the money from the sale into 3 equal parts, $10,000 for each child. I sent the checks on Christmas Eve. On December 26th, I woke up to 3 text messages, all identical. Received. Thank you. No calls. No visits. I sat there in my new apartment. It was smaller, yes, and much quieter. The walls were bare, and there were still boxes I hadn't unpacked. The checkbook lay on the kitchen table, the carbon copy still attached, clearly showing the large sums I'd given away. My coffee that morning grew cold, just like the feeling in my stomach. Outside, I heard the church bells chime 10 in the morning. My phone remained silent for the rest of the day. I had given them everything. The house their father built, the money I had painstakingly saved for 40 years, and in return I was worth 3 words. Received. Thank you. I was worth a single text message. I sat there for a very long time. The sunlight slowly traversed the floor, painting shifting patterns on the bare tiles. I thought about my life, about the tortillas, the early mornings, the couch with the broken spring in my daughter's apartment, the uneaten birthday cake, Doña Lupita's warm hand in the hospital, and something inside me broke. Or perhaps, in that very breaking, it began to mend. I wasn't sure which. On January 1st, a new year, a new resolve, I made an appointment with a notary. It felt symbolic. The notary was a young woman, perhaps 35, much like my own daughter. She listened patiently as I explained. I want everything. I told her to go to a scholarship fund for indigenous girls in Oaxaca. She paused, her pen hovering. Are you sure? She asked gently. Your children? I met her gaze. I'm sure, I said. Her office smelled of crisp paper and cool air conditioning. A small image of the Virgin of Guadalupe hung on the wall. The notary's pen clicked softly as she wrote. Primera signed my name, Rosa Maria Hernandez, Bedea de Lopez. The pen felt heavier than usual in my hand, yet my hand didn't tremble. This isn't revenge, I thought, the realization settling deep in my chest. Revenge would imply I still needed something from them. I am choosing to matter to someone, even if they are strangers, even if they are girls I will never meet. I am choosing to be remembered, to build something that isn't just an echo of what was. I drove home slowly that day. The streets of Guadalajara were bustling with people doing their New Year's shopping. Families walked together, children laughing and running. I was driving alone, yet I didn't feel lonely. Instead, I felt lighter than I had in years. 6 weeks later, my daughter appeared at my door without warning, carrying grocery bags. She said she just wanted to see how I was. Then my son came. Then the youngest. Now it's like clockwork. Every week. They ask about my health, about my plans. They don't ask about the will, not directly. But I see the unspoken question in their eyes, a flicker of curiosity, maybe even a hint of fear. My daughter unpacks the groceries, expensive organic produce and imported goods I'd never buy. She rearranges my small kitchen as if it were her own. My son, the eldest, quietly fixes a dripping faucet I hadn't even mentioned was broken. The youngest brings his children, who still call me Señora, before he gently corrects them. I sit in my usual chair, observing them, serving tea, listening to them talk about their lives, their jobs, their problems, their grandchildren's schools. Sometimes I feel a pang of guilt, sometimes a quiet sense of power. Most of the time, I simply feel quiet. I will never truly know if their renewed attention is genuine love or simply a sudden quiet panic. And I have, finally, made peace with that uncertainty. Not knowing sometimes is its own kind of freedom. Sometimes we mistakenly believe that family love is a constant, an unchanging flame. But often, it's like a garden that still needs watering, even after decades of tending. I visit a scholarship fund office from time to time. There's a wall there covered with photographs. 12 girls so far. The coordinator, a kind man in his 50s, shows me their files. One is studying to be a doctor, another an engineer, one a teacher. They are from towns I know, small remote villages like San Bartolo, Peotitlan, Tlacolula. Girls who look so much like I did at 15. Invisible poor, full of a quiet, fierce potential. The photos are simple, printed on ordinary paper, tacked to a corkboard. The girls smile in their school uniforms, some shy, some wonderfully bold. The office smells of strong coffee and the faint scent of a photocopier. The coordinator shows me a thank you letter from one of the girls. The handwriting is careful, practiced, full of a hopeful formality. I read the letter. It says, "Thank you for believing in me when no one else did. I will be the first in my family to finish university. I will make you proud." I close my eyes and I feel something deep in my chest, a warmth I hadn't felt in years. My own children, I realized, were raised by a ghost. Their needs, their growing lives, made me erase my own until there was nothing left of me. These girls, these bright young women, will be raised by the memory of a woman who finally said, "I exist." That, I understand now, is the real inheritance. I return to my small apartment. It's Tuesday afternoon. The light streaming through the window, in that particular golden hue it takes on around 4 o'clock. My daughter has just left. She stayed for an hour. A respectful, measured visit. We talked about her work, her son's grades, the weather. She even hugged me goodbye. A real embrace this time. I don't know if it was truly heartfelt, but the gesture was there. The apartment still carries the scent of the coffee I made, and the lavender soap I use. The checkbook, once a symbol of my fading worth, now rests in a drawer, empty, finished. On my table, there's a postcard from the scholarship fund. A photo of this year's beneficiaries. 10 smiling faces in their caps and gowns. The postcard has a small coffee stain, a perfectly human imperfection. I pick it up, running my finger gently over the faces of those girls. I used to think my story would end with my children returning, with them realizing, with them finally asking for my forgiveness. But that is no longer my story. My story is this. I was invisible, and I chose to be seen. Not by them, not for their approval, but by me, for me. And that I have come to realize is enough. It has to be enough, and it truly is. I am 87 years old now. This body is no longer the one that made tortillas at 5 in the morning, strong and tireless. My hands tremble a little when I hold my coffee cup. My knees creak with a quiet complaint when I rise from my chair. But my mind, my heart feels clearer than ever before. Yesterday my oldest son came. He brought sweet bread from my favorite bakery, a thoughtful gesture. He sat in my small living room and talked for 20 minutes about his work, about a promotion he might receive. I simply listened, truly listened. When he left, he kissed my forehead. I love you, Mom, he said. I closed the door behind him. He stood there for a moment, simply breathing. I felt something then, something quiet and profound. It wasn't happiness, not sadness either. It was something simpler, more elemental. It was the feeling of my own breath, feeling my own lungs, for myself. This morning, the coordinator of the fund called. One of the girls, the one studying medicine, has graduated, the first doctor from her village. She wants to meet me, wants to thank me in person. I told him yes, I would love that. They sent me a photo of her. She's standing outside her new clinic, a small rural clinic nestled in the mountains of Oaxaca. She's wearing a white coat, her smile wide and unburdened. But it's not just a photo smile. It's the smile of someone who truly knows the cost of getting there. In that smile I see myself. The girl I was, the one who sewed until her fingers bled to pay for school. The one who walked 2 hours just to reach the nearest town. The one no one truly saw. That girl grew up and became invisible again, but in a different way. She chose to erase herself for love, for duty, for fear. And this is what has taken me the longest time to truly understand. I don't blame my children for that. Not anymore. I taught them not to see me. I gave them everything, every piece of myself, and I never taught them that I too was a person with needs, with limits, with a life of my own, separate from them. I was the one who, however unconsciously, built that cage, and it had to be me who broke it. Does it still hurt sometimes? Yes, it does. There are days when my daughter hugs me goodbye, and I feel a silent ache, a longing to cry. I want to ask her, would you have truly come if I hadn't changed the will? Would you have called? But I don't. Because the answer, whatever it may be, doesn't change anything now. There are days when I look at old photographs. Christmas with the table overflowing. The baptism of my first grandchild. My husband's birthday. And I wonder, was it real? Those moments, those memories, they were real, and they were beautiful. But also real is the uncut birthday cake, the cold silence in the hospital, the stark received, thank you text messages. Both things are true, the joy and the quiet pain, and I can live with that truth now. It is a complex landscape, this journey of a heart that has loved deeply. Last week, Doña Lupita came for coffee. We sat on my small balcony, watching the street life unfold below. She knows my entire story. She is the only one I've told everything to. I recounted the will, the sudden return of my children's attention, the girls in Oaxaca. She looked at me, her eyes kind and knowing, and asked, do you regret it? I thought for a long time before answering, letting the question truly settle. You don't regret loving them? He told her softly. I don't regret raising them, but I do regret losing myself along the way. Yet that at least I have finally begun to fix. She nodded slowly, taking a sip of her coffee. Then she said something I will never forget. Love that doesn't respect you isn't love. Rosa, it's habit. She was right. My children loved me, I am sure of it, but they loved me in the way you love an old chair. Useful, comfortable, always just asterisk there, asterisk. They never considered that a chair might get tired, that a chair might one day simply break. Many people quietly carry loneliness in later life, and it can feel tied to changing family roles, unspoken expectations, and the need for dignity. It's not just about being alone, it's about feeling forgotten, and that is a deep, quiet ache. Now I am 87 years old. The time I have left is short. I know it, I feel it in my bones. But this time, this precious stretch of moments, is mine. For the first time in decades, it is truly mine. I sit in my chair by the window. The afternoon sun washes over me, warm and comforting. I hold the postcard of the girls in my hand. 10 smiling faces. 10 futures that would not exist without my decision, without my shift in perspective. I don't smile. I don't cry. I simply breathe in and breathe out. And the breathing, the simple act of being, feels like it belongs to me, fully, for the first time in decades. If you are listening to this, and you are older and tired, and you have given until your hands feel empty, I see you. I was you. This is not a story of revenge. It is a story of remembering that you are more than just a mother, more than a grandmother, more than your age. You are a person, a unique soul, and your life, your story, your inherent worth does not diminish when others stop calling. You don't owe anyone your disappearance. Write respeto in the comments. If you believe older people still deserve to be heard, to be seen, and to have their worth recognized, not just for what they give, but for who they are. I close my eyes. The sun feels warm on my face. I hear the sounds of the street outside, children playing, dogs barking, the vibrant hum of life moving forward. And for the first time in a very long time, I feel like I am a part of it all, not just a background fixture, but a living, breathing participant. That truly is enough. If this story resonated with you, share it with one older person who might need this gentle reflection. Liking this video helps another lonely heart find it. And subscribing means you'll return for more honest stories and reflections like this one. Perhaps you might even explore some of our other videos for a deeper journey into understanding the quiet complexities of life after 60. This content is educational only and not personal advice. For deeper concerns, consider speaking with a trusted professional.